We are the first inner city school in the UK, possibly even in Europe, to have a boat which we're going to use to enter competitive races. And, you know, our aim is to win.
A vast armada of yachts, over 350, provided a magnificent spectacle as they set off on the 60-mile round-the-island race.
The Round the Island race is one of the most traditional races in the sailing calendar. We did it so that we could enter a big sailing race.
This is the best of Britain racing, and it's a monumental race.
When we turned up and we saw the amount of boats that was there, very intimidating. I think we was feeling a bit excited, but yet worried at the same time. And I was thinking, how are we gonna do this? And I said this a million times before the race. I was scared we was gonna crash.
Currently, I just looked just now, we had 51 knots in the Needles Channel because a big squall came through, so...
How fast is that?
That's fast. You wouldn't want to be out there. That's getting onto gale force winds.
The other boats were having to be taken out. Some of the boats just turned back. Some of the boats were sinking. I was just like, I pray this doesn't happen to us. I pray we finish.
Right, so who have you found so far?
Montel.
Right, you'll be on his way, won't you? Good morning, Jordan.
No answer from Derek.
Derek's late for everything. Derek is late for school. Derek's late for trips.
Before sailing, I used to dance, urban dancing, like popping, locking, and all that. When I got into football, I was in like year 7, and I kind of like got tired of football. Like after that, I did like athletics. Year 8, and I was kind of into basketball. But yeah, and then after basketball, I kind of got into sailing.
How did your friends react when you got into sailing?
They were really shocked. They didn't really know, like, how can you do sailing like that? They see that as like a posh sport, like horse riding or something like that.
They don't cope well with the early mornings at all, so here's Junior, who's just arrived. Here's Montel. Morning, Junior. Is that your bag?
That's it, my bag is in the thing.
Morning.
My name is Junior. I live in Tottenham, and my family are from Ghana. It was a huge jump because from football, everyone plays football, whereas sailing is more for rich people.
No wonder the sea and sail beckon to youth. It is no longer the preserve of kings, dukes, and millionaires.
I watched some videos, and it's normally people with posh hats smoking cigars.
I grew up in Wirral, near Liverpool. I remember that some of the greatest experience I had was when I was sailing with my dad. I got a huge amount out of the whole experience, and I thought, can I transfer this to a state school? Derek, are you at home? Right, we're all sitting in the car park waiting to go. We have to be sailing at 11, right? And I said to be here for 7 o'clock. Right, I would suggest that you get into a taxi and come to school. He's just woken up. When I joined Greig City Academy, they didn't have any equipment whatsoever to try and run outdoor education. It all had to be bought, and I bought the lot: minibuses, trailers, mountain bikes. We sold the house that we had partly to help with the funding of outdoor education. So at the moment where we live here, which is the caretaker's house, very close to the school.
Most of them come from Tottenham. They bring with them very little because they have very little. Most of them all have never been on a family holiday.
How much is that?
Most of them all have never been outside the M25, if the truth be known.
Derek, what time do you call this? Stick your stuff in the back. Thanks.
sure promoters don't want me there, because they had to keep up to on the real side and I got them again. Well, before the sailing, I was a misbehaved student. I was like, you can call the class clown.
He is the student who struggles most at school. When Derek was in year 10 last year, his attendance was about 40%.
Push it away! Away! On dinghies, I'm the sail trimmer. Okay, guys, the jib's on the wrong side!
At first, like, I kept on falling in the water. Like, I kept on capsizing the little dinghies.
You tacked on the wrong side, Jesus Christ!
But the more times I dropped in the water, I started getting warm, and I was like, this is actually fun.
He's found an activity which he's extremely good at and which actually takes advantage of his personal qualities.
How you doing there, Junior?
He's extremely good with the morale of the team. He's very good with the banter between the boys, which for school is not ideal, but for sailing is vital.
We used to capsize that all the time.
Oh no, just me and Nicholas were seasick. Yeah, and Shabazz was always there. Every single time I've been sick, Shabazz has been there to save me.
My name is Shabazz Patterson, and I'm the sail trimmer.
I'm also vice captain of the sailing crew.
My role on the boat is the running backstays, which are the two pieces of rope that are connected to the back, and it goes all the way to the mast. So my job is to stop it from pumping backwards or forward, because if it pumps backwards and forward, the mast could potentially go down. It would mean the boat would be shattered, destroyed, and crushed.
Submarine! Top mate! Guys!
At first I thought it was a big challenge because I'd never been on a small boat and I only got 10 meters in swimming.
They ask us a lot of questions to like try to catch us out, but we answer them properly and then they're like, oh, so you actually really do sail the boat.
My name is Montel Jordan. I am the helmsman and also the captain of the team.
I just like it, to be honest, because we're basically showing that we're different and like we're basically coming after you.
When did you first hear about the sailing? What did you think?
I could not believe it. I could not believe Greig City is doing sailing, and on top of that, got their own boat. Yeah, amazing.
The world is not equal, and I think society is not equal at all, and people don't have the same opportunities. Centre it, centre it, centre it, centre it. I think teachers should do what they can do to try and make the world more equal. I'll take this one over, Derek, if you take that one.
Before all of this sailing, like, everyone used to see Mr. Holt as a scary figure in school, like everyone here. Did you? Yes, you did.
He was my geography teacher.
Before that, like in year 7 and year 8, so
he was the scariest teacher in the school.
Sees him as a scary...
When he takes one foot in the playground, then everyone stops and looks at him.
Wait, stop.
We see
He's
him
a really different person on the boat. He shows his emotions.
Yeah.
Which I didn't knew he had.
Really?
It's a new John.
Junior, lose the football for a second. You can make your grand tour.
He is, I mean, the adjectives begin, I suspect, with bonkers. He's driven, he's a fantastic head of sea. And that's what we pay him to do, as it were. The rest is extra. And he is driven to make it work. We went onto eBay and discovered that you can buy a laser for very little money if it's second-hand.
You know, for £550, you can get yourself a very good, solid, sturdy, trading dinghy.
I thought that might be it. Foolish youth. Because, again, within a month or two, he'd come through the door and said, we need a bigger boat.
I was actually trying to buy a much bigger boat called Rothman's originally, a big boat which Laurie Smith was the skipper of. And that was where the whole project started. And I came home and I said to Vanessa, in fact, actually, Vanessa was out because...
But his original idea was we would buy the boat and live on it, take a mortgage out. I told him I would leave him.
So I didn't do that. My logic was that we would then own it and we'd slowly pay it off and it would then be an investment of ours. But the problem is that we want to do it properly. So the idea of taking out a mortgage on a racing yacht, not yachts that people live on, boats that people live on are much more luxurious.
I couldn't hang my clothes up on there, could I?
Well, exactly. And so something like... So something like...
So you binned that idea?
I didn't bin the idea. What happened then was, I mean, I realised I couldn't buy this boat. I couldn't buy Laurie Smith's old boat. So I started to look for something which was affordable, and I found Scaramouche.
We found a boat languishing on the east coast somewhere, which he said, this is a real bargain. We need to go and have a look at this. And we saw a couple of pictures, and it looked like a bargain for a very good reason. And it had been out of the water for 3 or 4 years, as far as I could see, and was growing mould nicely. And I sent him with a senior member of staff to say, whatever you do, don't buy it. You're not allowed to spend anything, just have a look.
These boys came with me to have a look. We fell in love with this boat and bought it on a credit card.
Whose?
Mine.
And of course he came through the door saying, we put down a deposit. At which point
I mean, he has a vision and he just goes for it. Did we mention that we think he's on the spectrum?
Before there was a lot of problems with it, like the underneath of the boat had been corroded away, and now it's been fixed.
How does it look?
Yeah, it looks good. It looks fresh.
So we are the first inner city school in the UK, possibly even in Europe, to have a boat which we're going to use to enter competitive races. And you know, our aim is to win.
But you've got a storm cell?
Oh, I've got a full suite of sails. Yeah.
Oh, it's not.
This boat in total has had a £31,000 refit. Okay, all those talks you did, in the end, raised £42,100. This thing here, which is the anchor, it's called a windlass. This is new now.
We tried to enter the Arrow Trophy race, but we were declined because we were not a free public paying school. Free paying
Public school.
Yeah.
We thought that it was a barrier, but it was a barrier we overcame. We entered Astor Small Ships race last year in October.
Which we won.
Flying colours.
Flying colours.
Before we were about to do the race, the day before, Mr. Holt was like, you're not going to win this.
Yeah, he's putting us down.
Yeah, he's pulling us down.
He said, we're here to at least compete. If you come top 5, then
he
well
didn't
done.
even say top 5, he said top 15.
Yeah, everyone had to
say top 15.
So we said say nothing, so we're going to show you.
The boats that were there were newer than ours, they were bigger than ours. Throughout the whole race, we went from 30th place and then to 2nd place. And then 10 minutes from the end of the race, we saw the first place boat, and then we all started chanting, come on, Scaramouche, come on, Scaramouche. And then we overtook the first place boat. There was a speedboat that came through with the sailing committee, and they said, well done, I think you've won.
A vast armada of yachts, over 350, provided a magnificent spectacle as they set off on the 60-mile round-the-island race.
The Round the Island race is one of the most traditional races in the sailing calendar. It's a race which is mass participation, it's world-renowned. So when we decided to do it, we did it so that we could enter a big sailing race in which we would be recognised as being a serious competitive outfit.
But the Round the Island race, you have Ben Ainsley, the Olympic champion, who's going to be in that race.
But maybe his boat might crash, so he might win.
If we carry on towards the Isle of Wight.
When Sir said, oh, sailing will be life-changing, I just thought, okay.
I thought he was off his melon at first. But then I noticed it actually is life-changing.
This is the borough of Haringey, and basically we're in Tottenham, but the south side of Tottenham. Going down that way would be Seven Sisters side. Right here, you've got Tiverton, and that going there is Manor House. Broadwell Farm is more down this way.
What's it like where you've been?
Peaceful when it needs to be. Is wonderful because you get to see everything that happens without actually going downstairs.
We are 7 at the moment, so we are crowded here. It's not easy in this house. Junior has a sickle cell. Yeah. Sometimes, especially I said when he is in pain, I just watch him, the way he goes through is make me feel bad, something like that, you know. And before he was playing football, but now he stopped football, going to sailing.
Sometimes like my body will stop functioning, which meant, and at the time I didn't know what was happening. So then like we went to GP and then the GP referred us to a hospital and then from there the hospital told me.
Junior's a very skillful young man at sailing and he is a very important part of our team. His problem is that cold weather in particular sets off, the symptoms that he has of sickle cell.
He got wet from.
We'll be able to compensate to an extent with more specialist clothing for him. We're fundraising for it. It's one of the last things on our list, the last items on our list that we need to get.
I live with my mum, my brother, and my little sister and my older sister.
I come from Uganda, East Africa. When I came here, I wanted to better my kids. I thought about it and I said, at least my kids will have a better life.
I grew up in Uganda.
And what was it like then, growing up there?
In Uganda, it's totally different.
What way?
I grew up in a boarding school. I attended boarding school.
Boarding school, Derek? Fancy that?
Yeah, Derek, I knew him.
My mum and my dad are both from Uganda. I would like to go, but I wouldn't like to go with my dad because whenever my dad tells me he's going to take me, I'm always scared that he's going to leave me there. He only threatens to take me when he hears that I've been naughty.
The kids growing up here is a bit tricky if they mix up with bad groups, so you have to be always watching them.
Because we live in Tottenham. Tottenham is, and like they can be easily join gangs or whatever. Like you can be, I want him, to do better, do well, and go to university. And I'm not someone that wants to keep the kids close. I want them to learn, so I let them free.
My mum's very positive to the whole sailing thing. My dad, he's here and there. Sometimes he can be all right with it, and then sometimes he just has loads of problems. Like he would often want me to come and work at his shop and like help him around the shop, but I can't really do that because I'm too busy with sailing.
Are you worried about him when he's on the water like that?
Yeah, because for me, I don't want water. And in my young age, I never wanted to go even swimming.
Really?
Yeah, so I worry about water.
What did you think when he told you he was going to do sailing?
I said, okay. But to be honest, I didn't know they're doing that in the sea. And I said, wow, it's a sea.
What did you think they were doing then?
I thought maybe it's a small river or something like that. Anyway, there's nothing I can do. What I have to do is I have to support him. And when they are going, I have to pray for them. To God protecting them, come back home safely. Yeah, what I have to do.
Breathing may barely continue, if at all. Death might not occur, however, until much later. 1, 2, 3, go.
What's happening now?
We're doing a fire safety drill.
Okay, grab a life jacket, stick it on.
Crucial part of the sea survival, so it's the practical part side of it.
Shivans, how are you feeling about this?
Oh yeah, I'm confident. I know how to swim.
Yeah.
Around the Island race is a race around the Isle of Wight.
There'll be lots of tide pushing you.
It's known as being a really good race, but one which is also quite challenging.
Make sure you stay in the deep here. Cut as close as you bravely can here at the needles.
Hi there, I remember you. I remember most of you, I think. First race is when?
Next weekend.
Okay, let's start! So this is the deep water I was telling you about. So when you're going out in the race, you don't want to go right of that buoy. You want to stay in this channel, because that's the deep water.
He's widely regarded as one of the most naturally gifted sailors that there's ever been.
That's the best tide.
When I wrote this, it was like, yeah, I'd love to happily hear the talk.
There's this much wind, and the tide's going that way. You're going to get like 4 knots more wind. The 10 or 12 kids to come on a big boat like this, and with no experience, is very unusual, yeah.
Hey, Derek, if you're not doing much now, you can get up there as well.
There's one thing kind of getting a bunch of kids in small dinghies. There's another thing buying a 40-foot ocean racing boat. John was pretty brave taking it on because it needed an awful lot of work doing to it. You know? What's really good though is all the sheets are all new and nothing's going to break.
And we've got the life rafts mounted at the back.
They should call those death rafts.
Why?
Because you never want to get in one of those.
Oh yeah. Don't abandon them unless you
A lot of people leave the boat and then think that because it's called the life raft, it's going to save their life. But all they are really is big rubber rings. So you can always stay on the boat until it literally sinks underneath you.
How do you feel thinking about what you've got ahead of you in the summer?
I have to put on a brave face and appear as though I am really confident that everything's in hand. The truth is that when I was standing on the deck of the boat on Friday evening, I have many occasions where I think, what the hell have I taken on here? On the one hand, the boat itself is like a very complicated building project to sort out. Yeah. Then I have to sort out the crew, then their coursework and their behaviour. So I find it a bit daunting. I have lots of moments of thinking, what have I done?
You got this off the internet, innit? I got that as well. Good luck, Shabazz. I said don't. Good luck.
The place of all of the boys involved in the sailing isn't automatic. But if anyone was to not show the correct amount of commitment, if they didn't come out after their GCSEs, they've got to come training in to sharpen up. If they have some sort of instance in school which suggests that we have a doubt about how much we could trust them, then yes, they'd lose their place.
I'm not going for it.
You are? OK, well, you can forget about this project then. Last week, Junior's behaviour was not brilliant. I can't go into any details, but he's got challenges to overcome in school. There's about £2,000 worth of clothing sitting in that building for you, OK? After what you did last week, OK, I would suggest you try and build bridges with some of the staff. Do we know where Derek's got to yet? Apparently he's on a train.
Last week, Friday I think it was, our last exam, I came to school with no uniform and I got a blasting. So shouted at me and everything.
Derek has continual ups and downs. He didn't turn up to the first aid course last weekend. He needs to do it to be safe. And I said to him, it seems to me that you've blown it. And I think the problem that he has, but so also does Junior, and maybe Shabazz to an extent, is that they've got different things pulling them in different directions. They have got, very loving parents pulling them in one direction, they've got teachers trying to pull them in one direction, but there's always a distraction. I was kind of left thinking, is he actually going to walk away from this now?
What's Mr. Holt like?
Mr. Holt is he's caring. Sometimes we can put him through so much. Always giving us chances. I
I don't know how much chances I've been on with, so like sometimes like I'm really scared. I'm like, oh, like this is serious. I might like I'm in jeopardy of coming off the sailing team.
Go that side down there. Just keep a look outside. In half an hour, you're starting to get yourselves to sleep, yeah? Remember, when I go past and I occasionally come on the deck, I can see through those windows and I can hear.
Yeah, I don't need to. Why not? Because I got a card for it. Messing around. Okay.
So who put the two down?
Shabazz Patterson.
Like majority of races, the people that sell the other boats, they're just like, that would be roughly the first time they've known each other. But with us, we've got that chemistry there, so we all, like, we know how to talk to each other, we know how to connect properly. Helps us sell the boat better.
Do you think so too, Junior?
Yeah.
So good luck.
Thank you.
What's it like sleeping out here?
It's calm because like you can feel the boat moving in it. It's like rocking you to sleep. It's not quiet at home. There's always like distractions and music, or my little sister crying, mum complaining now I didn't do chores. Here, I could just put my headphones in and go to sleep.
Right. Here we are at the luxury staff accommodation. Yeah. This is where I sleep, down here. So, all that hard work to be able to sleep on a lovely 22-foot, boat like this. Ready? Right, come on, get changed, quickly.
I'm the press officer for the JP Morgan Asset Management Round the Island race. So I get to choose what I think is going to be the most newsworthy story of the race, and I would say this is definitely one of them. They don't come along that often, where you take a bunch of inner city kids and go racing. And it's going to be, I think, quite a baptism of fire tomorrow. It's going to test their skills and courage and determination.
You don't really see any children around here. It's mainly just adults, older men.
This is the best of Britain racing, and it's a monumental race. Mike Slade, owner of Leopard.
And you've won this race before then?
Yes, we have a few times. I think it's about 17.
The only thing I knew about the race is that it was sponsored by JP Morgan. I knew there was going to be a lot of boats. Like, I thought there was going to be youth boats as well, and there wasn't, so we were the youngest crew.
Good luck, guys.
And the fact that everyone was watching us felt like good.
If it goes well, you will either get fish and chips or sausage and chips. The minute I have to stare at any of you, it will go down to chips, okay?
London Inner City School, the Greig Academy, have been using the yacht Scaramouche. So can I please welcome to the stage the crew of Scaramouche.
Well, we're from a school in Haringey, Tottenham, in North London, which is famous for many things, and sailing is not one.
For tomorrow's race, we're hoping that, first of all, that we don't crash.
We're the Island Sailing Club. Sailing, that's what we do.
Yeah, I'm the Rear Commodore Sailing at the Island Sailing Club, so I suppose I'm the place where the buck stops. I think the whole race is a challenge because you're in the Solent, you've got all the tides and the shingle banks and everything else, and then you get round the back of the island and you're really on your own. Once you go past the Needles, you're out into the English Channel, and there's no safe haven, if you like, till you get back the other end. So it is a very challenging race.
Who else do you see super?
When we saw the amount of the amount of boats that was there. Very intimidating.
Have you got the solo pets? New one?
I think I was feeling a bit excited, but yet worried at the same time. And I was thinking, how are we gonna do this? And I said this a million times before the race. I was scared we was gonna crash.
When you set off at the beginning of a race, there's always a great atmosphere.
3, 2, 1.
You hear the gun going off and you're sailing alongside other boats. There's a real feeling of, you know, we're in a race and this is great.
Keep the main powered up, please. We need to get ahead of this guy.
I know there's 100 boats.
At the beginning of the race, everyone was really excited. And yeah, let's go, let's do this. And at the start, we only saw the boats that started the race like 30 minutes earlier, and we saw them like right ahead, and we was kind of like side to side to them, and we was really like excited, and we was like, oh, we actually might do well.
They paid more than £1 million for that boat. We're going to overtake them.
Look, these guys are putting the railings in the water, bro.
We don't go out if the forecast is going to be a force 7 or above. We knew that it was going to be a force 5 or 6 the evening before, so we were sort of prepared for that. What we didn't expect was that on the south side of the island, it was force 7 and it was gusting force 8, which are stronger conditions than we would normally set out in. But it is a race, it is an event, and they don't stop the race for the weather.
Before that race, I'd never been seasick, never.
Don't do too much.
I saw that like big waves are coming, so this is about to get tough.
We started the day with seeing sort of 50 plus knots at the back of the island and some big sea, so we had to stop 5 of the classes going. Since then, we've had a multitude of incidents to deal with.
From when we heard that a boat had collapsed, like, we knew it was going to be rough. At that point of time, we were halfway through the Needle, so we couldn't go backwards because we'll still have to go past the big waves. So we had to continue our journey.
When the weather conditions worsened, yeah, I had a mixture of all sorts of emotions. At no point would I say I'm scared, but apprehensive.
Would they try and keep us down, Dave?
You know, our first priority has got to be the safety of the crew. They are other people's children.
Nah, this is freaking me out. This is freaking me out.
When the waves were like rough, like really rough, and because when we're going past the Needles, everyone's trying to be as close to the shore as possible. So like there was like over 200 boats around us, and we just had to keep tacking and tacking and tacking out of the way of different boats.
Ready about, guys!
Ready about!
Release, release, release.
Hey. Through the witch, where's the witch? Where's the witch?
Currently, I just looked just now, we had 51 knots in the Needles Channel because a big squall came through, so...
How fast is that?
That's fast. You wouldn't want to be at that. That's getting on to gale force winds.
There was a time when the waves were really like, they were high. I was just like, there's no going back. I was just like, I'm just gonna have to stay here, and I made sure that I clicked myself on every time.
Life jacket. Alright, I want you to keep this cool.
When you're helmet, you're standing up. I think you feel it more when you're more on when you're on high side.
Yeah.
Because you're actually steering, standing up.
Montel he's our main helmsman. Because of the conditions, he ended up being at the helm for a lot longer. He was at the helm for a good 7 hours. And that's a long, long time to be at the wheel. When you have a 10.5-ton boat being lifted up by a wave and basically dropped onto the next wave, it makes a massive crash. You hear the floorboards lifting up and down inside the boat. Everything is shaken up.
There's no point screaming. It's just causing more dilemma. If you're screaming, the whole crew's got to get worried because they're going to think there's got to be a problem. So you just have to keep your cool, basically.
Yeah, my heart was definitely pumping.
There was me on one side looking after the mainsail. Right beside us was Jordan and Junior, and they were taking care of the backstays.
At first it was more about competing, but then it was more about finishing and making sure the boat didn't get destroyed.
The upper boats were having to be taken out. Some of the boats just turned back. Some of the boats were sinking. I was just like, pray this doesn't happen to us. I pray we finish.
What I wasn't expecting was for some of the people out there to be racing as hard as they were. They would tack in front of us. My own view is that the weather conditions had worsened to the extent that I thought there should have been more of a focus from some competitors on actually getting around the race and not putting boats in unnecessary danger. Well, the worst case scenario with a collision is the boat can sink.
The force was too much for me to turn it as much as I could. But I couldn't do much anyways because even if I did turn it, they still could have collided with us.
I've been teaching now for well over 30 years, and we've become more risk-averse, as the Americans would say, for all sorts of reasons which go from the financial to frankly, the legal. We've become a bit scared of what if, instead of kind of really looking forward to what if. There's a what if that's negative. What if it doesn't work? What if it all goes horribly wrong? What if the boat doesn't float? What if, what if?
No boats in their division have finished yet.
But there's also that astonishing feeling of satisfaction of, I did it.
There they are.
To be totally honest, at the time, and even now, I'm not actually too bothered about the fact that there was damage to the radar, damage to an outboard motor and that kind of thing, because that's not the important thing in that situation. The important thing is that everybody is safe and everyone's okay. And the next most important thing is that we could continue with the race, which we did.
I actually do get, when you see, excuse me, but when you see kids do things that they never thought they could do. And when you know that the reason they're doing it is because you put in place the building blocks and the scaffolding and the support for them to really meet that challenge and take that risk for themselves, it's just wonderful.
When you panic, you're just causing more problems, really.
Yeah.
Because if you're calm in most situations, it just works out most of the time.
People were shocked that we actually finished the race because a lot of people were tired.
Nice. What's coming in here?
I've looked behind you there. That's the RNLI helping with it.
When other people came up to us, because we were so young, they didn't think I don't think they had thought that we could complete it. And we surprised them, and that's when I realized that, oh.
And then that's our main aim, to prove people wrong.
I feel alright. I guess. Yeah. It's good to complete it though. Is it? Yeah, very hard. At one point I thought I was going to throw up, but I never. That race was a once in a lifetime race.
Junior. Have we dried out yet?
Junior's like a really determined person. With all of the sickness that he has and the fact that he still wants to carry on with all of this sailing, it just shows a lot of determination, so I have respect for him.
Derek struggled with a bit with the conditions, but then he did everything he was asked to do, which he doesn't always do in schools. If you walk on with a box, it's not a good look at all.
I think we've just proved that anything is possible.
Hello, excuse me. Is it right if I can talk to you about our project? Our sailing project? No?
And like anyone can do it if they set their mind to it.
Hello, excuse me. Can I introduce you, like, just tell you a bit about our sailing project?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Right, okay.
Because if I can help you with the spinnaker, I definitely will.
Right, I'll make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll spin.
Thank
What's
you.
your name, man?
Derek.
Derek.
Yeah.
All the best with it.
All right. Thank you. Shiraz, that's how you do it.
We all just want to make our parents proud, and through all of the hardship that they've been through, like, we feel like we owe them something.
What's next for me? Sixth form and then university. Probably be an accountant or stockbroker. You need confidence and risking things like we done during the sailing race. So I think it would help me quite a lot.
When you see the project come to a successful end like that, where we finish such a big race, and we finish in a very respectable time.
One word, I think, sums up yesterday. Tough.
Then, you know, we're very pleased and very proud of what they've actually done.
What is he now to you? Is he Mr. Holt or John?
He's John Holt to me now.
I just call him Mr. Holt. I'm not as brave as Junior to be calling him John. And get those eyes, now I'm fine.
No, I just call him Holt.
Yeah.
Holt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan.
John.
Sometimes he's Jonathan.
Yeah. Oh.
His name is Jonathan. He's a good bloke.
This has been Montauk and Krim, and now we're out.
Dead.
Lovely, Julia. Thank you.
Follow me. Yeah. Charge that.